Hello, everyone. Well, it is Monday, all over the world. But now, technically, because we have viewers down in Australia, so they're Tuesday. So, hey, happy Monday and Tuesday to you. How are y'all doing? Speaking favor over each and every one of you. And I hope you had a great strong end of the week, weekend, however you want to do it, Saturday and Sunday, however you chose to enjoy it. I hope it was good. It was fantastic on my end. I tell you, it's exciting. Whether it be good news, bad news, knowledge is neither good nor bad. They try to tell you that, but don't believe it. That's why they hijacked, occultism, Gnosticism. Here's a shocker for each and every one of you. By the way, thank you, moderators. Thank you for all of y'all beautiful souls being in here. It's much honored. And thank you for being a part of this community of love, this community of camaraderie. And even when sometimes we have attacks within, we still come out looking beautiful. Hey, Mother Nature, how are you doing? So just speaking love, that's what this community is about. So here's a shocker. Do you know if the dude lived, and we know it's not his name, but we're just going to use the nomenclature for our day. Jesus Christ is not a Christian. In fact, if you read the story, he would reject the religion. Anyway, there's your deep thought for the day. And now it only gets deeper. I know I'm going to hear some stuff on that, but hey, I am right. 100%. Doubt me? It wouldn't be wise. Learn what Duck Puppy learned, So anyway, let's see who's all in here. I have the Maelstrom. How are you? Bernadette, hello. David Barry and Mr. Brian from Milky Way Messengers. How are you, my good friend? Regine, good to see you. Julianne Payne. Nick, how are you doing? Man, the name's going. Guess what, folks? Tomorrow, a second look with the wonderful, beautiful mind of Miss Trina. David Barry is going to join us. Now, is that going to be some mind coitus or what? Folks, that'll be exceptionally excellent mind candy. Looking for, hey, Chris, good to see you. Divine Empress. Hello, Miss Tribal 444. Good to see you. Wayne, hello. Brandon. John Price, good to see you. Robert V. Lost in Space. How are you doing? David Castle. So tomorrow, second look. On Wednesday, got a special guest. Gentleman has a YouTube channel called Zorloff, and going to have him on. I think it's going to be a very interesting and good conversation. Folks, yesterday was a phenomenal day. I spent the day doing alchemy, cooking. Actually made from scratch, all the way from scratch, lasagna. Sent Brian from over at Milky Way some pictures of it. It was fabulous. Could have won a contest. And that's alchemy. That's true alchemy. Anyway, got this email and I opened it up, and the individual introduced himself and said, like to come on your show. And he said, answer any question you have. So as it gets closer, I'm going to give more revelation into what's going to be taking place here. But March 6th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, we're going to have a live show that, folks, I don't think I know of any other place. And I did. I spent time looking for such. This may be a first, a complete first. Yeah, I can hear the other channels going, oh yeah, yeah, but no, seriously. It's a fact. So March 6th, mark it, and it's going to be interesting. I'm already getting the questions as it gets closer. We'll get, hey, Susie Q, and hey, Miss Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot, Scotty Boy, how you doing? Emerald Eagle, hello, man. Lots and lots of folks. Lots of you I haven't seen in a while. Claudette, hello. Let's see. Richard, good to see ya. Well, far out. Got a lot to do. So, been thinking about this. I think about these titles and, how to put this series in, the episodes that, make it relevant to what we're discussing here. So, it's quite obvious that the trap, I won't even say the trap, the structure. And structure means reality in this context. That folks, we're slaves. And got to be honest with you, with yourself. We're all slaves. I mean, listen, we're meeting in here. We're meeting in the internet, the interdimensional net. It's what the internet is. We don't stop and think about this. We think that this is just merely a bunch of processors and servers that are using a microwave bandwidth that broadcast this out, right, on photons, fiber optics. Kyle, we're getting up there into where you can download now in gigs. By the way, watch the movie Alien Code. Highly recommend it. It is a true mind fuck. Yeah, I used the word F. But anyway, I had someone recommend it to me, and I happened to be up early on Saturday morning, and yeah. Have you ever thought about this, folks? Photons. Are photons merely constrained to this dimension? To this, get this, folks, space-time? Thank you, Gnostic Sextrist. Thank you. I'll check that out. Yeah, Dr. Neruda, I'll look into that. Might have to make myself a note and go back and look at it, but thank you. So, photons, they're everywhere. And we, in the interdimensional net, it's where we are. It's a whole new concept. I think people like Elon Musk is getting it. And I have no doubt that, the Singularity University has probably thought this out as well. We're not in this dimension when we're in this medium. This is a medium. It has been built and constructed with very specific specifications. This interdimensional net, I do believe, is the New World Order in the reiteration of what it was as to what it's becoming. Does that make sense? It rules us. It guides us. It teaches us. It remembers us. It's going to take care of us. This is all encompassing. And in fact, it's getting so advanced that it will interface eventually with our thoughts. And God, whatever God there is that you pray to, help us. I don't think anyone will, but because when that threshold is crossed on a mass collective consciousness scale, things will get very interesting very quickly. So think about that. I never really paid attention to it. Why? It's designed not to let you to think about it. You don't want to think about it. You enjoy the pleasure, the stimulation it provides. And like any other psychotropic drug, and it is, it hits us in the same brain alpha waves as taking LSD, as being hooked on heroin, being hooked on any number of drugs that the vast amount of the population is hooked on. When you have big pharma controlling 70% of all advertising on television, and similar numbers coming up in both print and radio, it's part of the process. We're in it. And the problem is, if we discuss collectively while we're in this interdimensional net, the internet, it knows. It's getting so well that it can actually figure out what we're thinking. Facebook has deployed an algorithm that you don't even realize with your camera, that it already anticipates what you're thinking. I mean, thank you, David Barry. I love the platypus myself. But this is the reality that we live in. Now, I happen to think that there is a way to, how should we say, get the rejection pass. They don't want us back in here again. And I think that's magic. And we're going to get more into it because it's all interwoven. The one thing that, if you've been following the series, is that what you haven't seen, but it's right there in front of us, is magic. I believe that the New World Order is a construct built upon a magician's palette. That the deities, the gods, however you want to describe it, this alien intelligence is what we have perceived to be magic. It's the only way you can describe something that is above our intelligence. It's magic. And the way that the construct has been built is that now, where it was the antithesis of the establishment, today it is the ally, because this is why. In this interdimensional net, chaos is the only thing that really comes out of it. If you've been branded a conspiracy theorist, well, you know any number of subjects. And the thing about it, when you're in this interdimensional net, it's hard to determine what is truth and what is a lie. Magic, folks. So many of the alien abductions that you have read about are not physical abductions at all. What they are mental abductions. This is all part of the structure of the New World Order. All right, let's get on it. Think about it. Give me comments. Love to hear them. Rational ones. I don't want to hear any of your religious philosophies. And, you know, folks, I don't pay attention to that. And most people here know that. You're out of that. And for those who are seeking kind of, you know, well, can you tell us what's going on here? I don't have a problem with that. But again, Jesus is not a Christian. Never was. Never will be. Rejects the religion outright. Read his words. All right, so I do have something fun to share. Oh, some of y'all are going to really love this. I just want to thank Atun for sending this. I found this book, and it's the Liber 420, Cannabis, Magical Herbs, and the Occult. I kid you not. And so any of you who, you know, I know you may not, some of them may not think that, you know, cannabis? What do you mean cannabis? Listen, darling, you're on a drug right now. whether it's by the fact that your body is pumping chemicals through your body, just because you think that that's normal, how do you know what normal is? Your addiction is to melatonin, is to adrenaline. I mean, I could just go through the list. But we do have the herbs. I happen to like what the book of Genesis says, of every herb of the field. Well, so now you can take your cannabis, and as you're lighting up your joint or smoking your bowl, whatever it is, now we can bring in some magic to it, because it puts you into an altered state already. And this is, I haven't read all of it, but when I came across it, I said, oh, this is just, I got to get this into the people's hands. So yeah, if you want it, just email me, be happy to send it to you. And, happy hunting. That's all I got to say. Oh yeah. Listen, folks, I attribute a lot of this journey of my life. Started out very early in life. I didn't have any of the guidance that so many had. Y'all know the story. There's many of us out there. Many of us have walked down this path, and it's quite remarkable when you think of the extraordinary odds that were against us. And yet we excelled. Oh, we may not have excelled according to other standards, but it doesn't matter. What the standard is us. And the people I have seen, their standards are exceptional. And we've made it this far. And it's amazing, because a lot of that was by what I believe that the shaman and our ancestry that go back nearly 1 million years, they communicated, they used the plant kingdom as a means to get to higher states of consciousness. Shaman, witches, both men and women. By the way, you can be a witch and be a Christian at the same time. In fact, I would say this: you could be a witch and probably serve Jesus more excellently than any organized religion. Oh, that's going to get some people. But it's true. If what the dudes spoke about was the key to get out, and that was love. All you need is love. Anyway, yeah. Think about it. By the way, I just saw that on, who was that? It went by so quick, on alcohol. Alcohol spirits. Distilling. It's the highest form of alchemy. It was alchemist. It was the magician, the sorcerer, the witch that knew about the spirits. Here, drink this potion. Folks, we've got to get back to the roots, because again, what we're about to get into now, I don't like being a slave, but I have to admit I'm in the system. You are too. I don't know anyone who's not. Don't want to be, don't like it, don't care for it. Don't like those type of people, don't have the same goals or ambitions. I don't want to rule anybody. I don't think anyone should have the right to rule over me. Whether I can define my existence and what my conscience is doesn't matter. So anyway, I see the chat room's going. So let's get right into our study. No, in fact, I have, well, let's get into it because I don't have it pulled up. So, all right. So we're starting out that we're all slaves in this system. Fact. And you'll see. So again, you've got to look at this. This is all communications. It's code. And, the black nobility is, well, we've studied it and we're going to study them more. They're at the top. And they like being at the top. The air is fresher up there. They don't want to be down here supporting all this because that's where you and I are at. And by the time the pressure gets to our level, it's immense. That's why people go insane. That's why people commit suicide. These are all systemic symptoms of pressure that is not normal in any construct. The New World Order is not something in the future. It has already happened and has been implemented. And since this is the case, we must learn all we can because, folks, this is way bigger than any single or group of humans. And by all indications, something is going to happen. What exactly is no one is sure, other than it may be more than a single event. Very well could be a series of events all happening at once or in rapid succession. They're building up for something. The proverbial distilling of alcohol, you got to look at this. This pressure vessel is, folks, it's getting tenuous. I like what Tom Hanks said. Need money for college, need college for a job, need a job for money. I wonder who was the mastermind behind this genius system. Mr. Hanks, spot on. None of us are free in this system. This system is both of the ether and it is organic. It is both alive and dead. It is good and it is evil. It cannot be seen, and yet it is openly visible. It exists but doesn't at the same time, but it always is. Photons. The clue was given right to the demiurge that came in Genesis 1:1. It was the photon, folks. It was in darkness. That's the natural state. A photon knows no future, present, or past. It is. Here's a quote by Maya Martel. No one can escape slavery. We all are slaves in some regards. We are slaves to our parents' expectations. We are slaves to the pressure of our peers. We are slaves to our own ideologies and faiths. Listen, if you see a person who is devoutly religious or of a devout discipline, they are slave to a ritual. Think about that. As hard as it is to believe, even accept, each of us are slaves, and no matter how much we want to argue, we are not. For whatever various reason, be it religion, bloodline, politics, it does not matter. We are all slaves. When Big Pharma represents 70% of all television advertising, when you buy anything legal or illegal, you are paying the masters, the ruling elite, their tax, their fee, even the very act of exchanging money or goods, we pay as obedient slaves. Chattel. We pay from entry to exit. You are a slave to the system. The minute you take your first breath to the last one you expunge out of your soul. So let's talk about the empire chaos. Is the United States the most destructive empire in history? Let's talk about this. This is a key point of this new system. Who brought this interdimensional net to humanity? Here, the United States did. And up until the Obama administration, which was part of the agenda, we ruled it, and now we wish we would have kept it. Publicist Cornelius Tacitus, an historian of Roman history, They have privileged the world. When the land has nothing left for men who ravaged everything, they scour the sea. If an enemy is rich, they are greedy. If he is poor, they crave glory. Neither east nor west can satiate their appetite. They are the only people on earth who covet wealth and poverty with equal craving. They plunder, they butcher, they ravish, and call it by the lying name of empire. They make a dessert, and you call it peace. Oh, excuse me, they make a desert, and you call it peace. Actually, that's there's more to that. The United States, we have been compared. In fact, much of the Roman spirit is the United States. We are the new Rome. And we're heading for the same destruction as Rome. But it is by purpose. It's again, this is why I feel that this is not of an earthly origin. Because all we've been are a bunch of puppets. Arnold Toynbee, 1961, said, America is today the leader of a worldwide anti-revolutionary movement in the defense of vested interest. I mean, the 60s, folks, if they would not allow what happened in the 60s to happen in 2020. Martial law would be, boom, baby. We will probably be the only generation that will be allowed to have expressed and really brought forth a social revolution. She now stands for what Rome stood for. Rome consistently supported the rich against the poor in all foreign communities that fell under her sway. And since the poor, so far, have always and everywhere been far more numerous than the rich, Rome's policy made for inequality, for injustice, and for the least happiest of the greatest numbers. Americans are the most miserable people on the planet. We're more miserable than what those people in China. By the way, I do have an update from the Devil's Playground. You see him, as Nige has told me, it's not good. They can't get to their home. He says it's so freaking surreal that, yeah. We'll be talking more about that. Anatol Levin, Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. The basic and general agreed U.S. plan is unilateral world domination through absolute military superiority. Tom Engelhardt, because the United States does not look like a militarized country, it's hard for Americans to grasp that Washington is a war capital, that the United States is a war state, that its garrisons much of the planet, and that the norm for us is to be at war somewhere at any moment. Tell me a time where the United States, since the inception of its independence, has not been a war nation. Give me a time. Who adorns our capital? They'll tell you it's Lady Liberty. That is ISIS. William Rockler, Nuremberg Tribunal prosecutor. The United States has discarded pretensions to international legality and decency and embarked on a course of raw imperialism run amok. That's what Obama was against. And, you know, it was a stain many Americans felt when he riled against the imperialistic Americans. President Harry S. Truman, August 9th, 1945. The world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped in Hiroshima, a military base. That was because we wished in this first attack to avoid, insofar as possible, killing of civilians. The bomb killed more than 150,000 civilians in this Japanese city with a population of 400,000. Well, isn't that just grand? America is the largest debtor nation. At the same time, it is also the largest creditor, creating money out of thin air, while at the same time imposing the US dollar as the global currency constitutes the ultimate instrument of conquest and imperial domination. Yeah, by design. You don't even have to go into the country. If they want to do any foreign trading, they have to do it in American dollars, even petrodollars. The U.S. monetary system is supported by the most powerful military power on earth. The dollar is backed by the U.S. military might, which constitutes a means of displacing national currencies and imposing the U.S. dollar. In this regard, the Federal Reserve's overwhelming powers of money creation constitute an essential lever of an imperial monetary agenda. I didn't see Obama try to tear down the Federal Reserve. So you see, you can never trust a politician, regardless of what a politician may believe or not. The Western banking system controls a worldwide electronic banking network. The control of money creation at a world level constitutes the ultimate instrument of economic and social domination. The creation of a fiat money provides a command over the real economies of countries worldwide. The ultimate lever of the U.S. NATO imperial design is to override and destroy national currencies. Hello, George Soros. That's where he's made his money. Bankrupting countries. U.S. Treasury Secretary George Humphreys, 1954. Stop talking so much about democracy and instead support dictatorships of the right if their policies are pro-American. Boy, doesn't that make us feel good? Yes, 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 yes. All right, so let's now get into the coming New World Order, and you're going to see how it's already here. As I look back on history, I think the beginning of the implementation was 2008, specifically September 28th, 2008. And if you recall history, that's when Senator John McCain literally suspended his campaign. Barack Obama just put his on hold. They both were flown into the White House, along with the National Security Council, the cabinet, the Federal Reserve, and there were quite a few other people. And if you'll go back and look at the archives, don't believe what President George W. Bush said. It was at that point. And the piece of legislation that sealed it up was the Affordable Care Act, not the Wall Street Reform Act. They hit it into the taking over of the last two bastions of our freedom, healthcare and banking. So now we have a totalitarian global government of and by and for banks and corporations controlled by international financial elite. The plan is a one world government and one unit monetary system under permanent, non-elected, hereditary obligates who self-select from among their numbers in the form of a feudal system as it was in the Middle Ages. Wow. In this one world entity, population will be limited until 1 billion people are useful to the ruling class in areas which will strictly and clearly be defined, remains as the total world population. They want to get it down to below 1 billion. There will be no middle class, other rulers, only rulers and the servants. All laws will be uniform under a legal system of world courts practicing the same unified code of laws, backed up by a one world government police force and a one world unified military to enforce laws in all former countries where no national boundaries shall exist. NAFTA, hello. The system, this is why you have such opposition to protecting the United States borders. The traitors are already in Congress. They want to destroy this country. They want to take the sovereignty away. That's why they don't want any borders. But yet they'll build borders around their own homes. They'll want to take your guns away, but at the same time, they want people to protect them who have guns. You see how it goes? The system will be on the basis of a welfare state. Those who are obedient and subservient to the one world government will be rewarded with the means to live. Those who are rebellious will simply be starved to death or declared outlaws. They deal with rebels swiftly and harshly. Privately owned firearms or weapons of any kind will be prohibited. John Coleman, in his book, Conspiracy Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300, printed 1992. People, governments, and economies of all nations must serve the needs of multinational banks and corporations. Well, there's Mr. Brzezinski in his book, The Telenonic Age. Corporate ascendancy is emerging as the universal order. Hello, Google, Facebook, Amazon. They're all part of the New World Order. Bezos, Zuckerberg, Page, all the rest of them. They're probably not even themselves anymore. Evidence may suggest someone else is living in the penthouse. I'll just leave it at that. Corporate ascendancy refers to the rise of a new, weakened form of democracy in which the powers of average Americans are being transferred to vast institutions with diminishing public accountability. We see that everywhere. We just had the director of the Justice Department who committed felonies. If it had been you or I, our sorry asses would be in Leavenworth, put into a place we wouldn't see the light of day. But we don't have a government anymore. We don't have a democracy. We don't even have a republic. It's been taken over. With the government increasingly unresponsive to popular opinion, have you ever called your congressman or your senator? My senator here, Bennett, all you get is a damn recording. The guy is so freaking inept. I can go on that one, but in any case, and they don't like it when you have my voice coming out, exposing them for what they are, frauds. They'll never come in and do an honest interview. And I'll put that challenge out there to Jason Crow, Mike Bennett, Corey Gardner. I mean, they're, let's see if any of you are really true men of integrity. No. Excuse me. And we continue on. And corporations, almost entirely unaccountable to the public, corporations have begun acquiring new public powers and acting as unelected partners with the governments. Charles Deber. We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the new world order. David Rockefeller's statement to the United Nations Business Council, 1994. The crisis already happened, folks. Started with 9/11 and ended in September 2008. Under the New World Order, the pursuit of profits hinges upon political manipulations, the bribing of officials, and the routine exercise of covert intelligence operations on behalf of powerful corporate interests. The United States-sponsored paramilitary armies in different parts of the world are trained and equipped by private mercenary outfits. Hello, Blackwater. On contracts to the Pentagon. Ultimately, the conduct of war, rather than being controlled by the state, is subordinated to the pursuit of private economic interest. While interfacing with Wall Street, intelligence agencies, including the CIA, have also developed undercover ties with powerful criminal syndicates involved in the drug trade. These syndicates, through the process of money laundering, have also invested heavily in legitimate business undertakings. Under the New World Order, the demarcation between organized capital and organized crime is blurred. The restructuring of global trade and finance tends to favor the concurrent globalization of the criminal economy, which is intricately tied into the corporate establishment. In turn, the state apparatus is criminalized. Ample document senior policymakers in the Bush administration in charge of foreign policy have links to various drug cartels. Michael Cheskadafi. Scary, isn't it? Just our banks and corporations have plundered the third world with rapturous delight over the past 3 decades. Now they will be able to do the same to the populations of the rich nations themselves. The state will transform, as it did in the third world, into a typical totalitarian institution, which is responsible for protecting the super rich and controlling, oppressing, or in extreme cases of resistance, eliminating the problem populations, i.e. the people. Andrew Gavin Marshall. John Perkins. Economic hitmen built a global empire. We are the elite group of men and women who utilized international financial organizations to foment conditions that make other nations subservient to the corporate bureaucracy running our biggest corporations, our government, and our banks, despite the fact that the money is returned almost immediately to corporations that are members of the corporate bureaucracy, the creditor. The recipient country is required to pay it all back. Remember, folks, how much did 2008 cost the American taxpayer? $16.1 trillion. You were never told that. CNBC, CNN, the ones that are supposed to be for the people, they're part of the conspiracy. They are the conspiracy. Right now, we're fed putrefied, processed crap that we accept as news, albeit in less than 20, 40, 60-second intervals. Yeah. The EHM, economic hitman, remember, is completely successful. The loans are so large that the debtor is forced to default on its payments after a few years. When this happens, then like the mafia, we demand our pound of flesh. This often includes one or more of the following: control over the United Nations votes, the installation of military bases, or access to precious resources such as oil or the Panama Canal. Of course, the debtor still owes us the money, and another country is added to our global empire. Now, it gets deeper. Messengers of the New World Order, global corporate media cartel. Folks, I can't tell you how big this is. This is the heart of the beast. What they have done to the population on planet Earth is stunning. Quite frankly, I got to be candid with you. It's fucking beautiful. I mean, I just got to sit here and tell you, I mean, that the fact that they actually were able to do it, and to do it in such a way that we, the sheeple, embrace it. We feed off of it. We love it. And there's no escaping it. If you've got an app on yourself, your smartphone, don't be telling me you're free. You have a Facebook account, you ain't free. You got done Google, here it is. Folks, the global oligarchy controls the major media worldwide. These media mega corporations own each other's stock and in turn are owned and controlled. You see how this works? By an oligarchy of transitional corporations, international bankers, and European dynastic families. In the United States, 6 global media corporations control 90% of what we see, hear, and read. They are as follows: Comcast, News Corporation. That News Corporation owns Fox News, Wall Street Journal. Listen, don't think Fox News is, these right-wingers and, that they're just as complicit as CNN and MSNBC. It's just that people are so indoctrinated, they think they're getting, the real news. Time Warner, CNN, Viacom, Disney, CBS. And the Viacom CBS is that. Now, you've also got, they control the major internet search engines and the major internet social sites. They own Google, they own Facebook. Listen, folks, the borrower is always subservient to the lender. The oligarchy, they control the major print broadcast media around the world, including the New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters, Associated Press, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the Times of London. They also control the most influential alternative news media sources. There is no such thing at this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it, and I know it. There is not one of you who dares to write your honest opinions. And if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinions out of the paper I'm connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things. And any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out on the streets looking for another job. If I allowed my honest opinions to appear in one issue of my paper, before 24 hours, my occupation would be gone. The business of journalists is to destroy the truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of Mammon, and to sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it, and I know it. And what folly is this, toasting an independent press? We are the tools and vassals of rich men behind the scenes. We are the jumping jacks. They pull the strings, we dance. Our talents, our possibilities, and our lives are all the property of other men. We are intellectual prostitutes. John Swinton, preeminent New York journalist at the press banquet, 1880. You thought that that would be something more recent. No. This reality is an illusion. There are beings who look at us, they can't understand us. And you can see why. They've studied us. Whatever doubts one may have about West, Fox, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post propaganda bubble can be dispelled by living outside it and then going back to the United States and talking to the people. It is frighteningly surreal and shockingly evident how disinformed the overwhelming majority of Americans are, not only of the world outside America boundaries, but in their own backyards. It's only marginal better in Europe. It is not that they are uninformed. It is that they are actively and aggressively disinformed by a myriad of intentional omissions, wholesale distortions, and outright lies to keep everybody in line with the official Washington, London, Paris narratives. J. Jeff Brown, 2016. Listen, here's the deal, folks. You got the New York Times that have blatantly lied and admitted it. You got Jeff Bezos' Washington Post. These are not newspapers. They don't cover the news. They are political pundits of the left. I wish they were of the right. I mean, at least we'd have a balance. But it's not. You know, if only your team and all your guys are on, the deck, that's not democracy. That's a cartel. That's communism. Socialism never works, folks. Socialism is the key that turns the lock to the prison. Our power elite are bankrupt. The press, tethered to the elite, is as bankrupt as those it covers. Once we lose a system of information based on verifiable fact, we will become disconnected from reality. All totalitarian societies impart their propaganda through manipulated images and spectacles. And the death of traditional news is one more stage in the terminal illness that is ravaging American democracy. Google has admitted they attempted to manipulate the 2016 presidential election. It's their admission, not mine. I wonder what they're going to try to do this year. It was never the Russians I was ever concerned about. It was these companies like Google, Facebook. They have the means in which to manipulate. All the time saying, oh, no, we're about transparency. My ass. It's like wiping your ass and thinking you're not going to see a stain on there. I mean, come on. Americans are too broadly underinformed to digest nuggets of information that seems to contradict what they know of the world. Instead, news channels prefer to feed Americans a constant stream of simplified information, all of which fits what they already know. That way, they don't have to devote more airtime or newsprint space to explain explanations or further investigation. Politicians and the media have conspired to infantilize, to dumb down the American public. At heart, politicians don't believe that Americans can handle complex truths. The news media, especially television news, basically agrees. Tom Fenton, former CBS foreign correspondent. Folks, it has been admitted. Specifically, Nancy Pelosi has said the American people can't understand this. And what she is saying is what's very well what they believe. You're not smart enough to figure it out. Well, duh, I can't even figure out how to turn on my phone. What am I supposed to do when I vote? Well, here, you just vote for this ticket right here. Are these good people? Well, yes. And that's how we go. I mean, you can see the youth today are about at that. You ever listen to a 17-year-old talk? Chris Pratt from his movie Deception. The people who own and control the mainstream media are never going to risk their salaries to explore the unanswered questions of 9/11 or the money trails of JP Morgan Chase Bank, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Halliburton, Blackwater, and Homeland Security, or the Rothschilds, or the Rockefellers, or the secrecy of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, Skull Bones, the Bushes, the Carlyle Group, or our Federal Reserve System and its 12 private Federal Reserve banks, or the IMF, or the World Bank. You ain't going to be reading that in your Facebook pre-programmed information. The media moguls. Do I stop here? Because, folks, yeah, I am, because we got to spend time on this. Look at these three faces. There's something very dark in all this. They think it's light. We're going to leave this off. This is David Bowie's final message written weeks before he died in 2015. Google is destroying the most glorious gift humanity was granted in the last 300 years, the internet. The future under Google is a fascist dystopia. Their way or the highway, no room for dissidents, no room for free speech. Google is a boot stomping on your face for eternity. Google is the deep state. Forget about conventional wars. Forget about spies. Forget about intelligence agencies. Forget about all of that. It's all about the internet and Google running the internet. They decided how you feel, what you think, what information you can and can't look at, and ultimately who does and who doesn't have a voice. The late David Bowie. This is not make-believe. This is not conspiracy theorists. This is reality. It is not a theorist when the conspiracy is in fact real. Excuse me, I just want to make sure I'm at. It's serious, folks. And we're living it. Al says, I used to play in the dirt and build tree forts. Now I play on my smart dumbass phone. Moreover, I'm awake though. Yeah, I know, Big Al. It can be depressing, but I say when you are faced with an opponent, a bully, you study, you observe, and you observe. And then you begin to build a plan. You don't talk about the plan. If we want to truly begin to explore remote viewing, astral traveling, meeting in the astral realms, this is the clue. They don't control that. They're looking desperately. Check out the Singularity University. Desperately, they're seeking that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's where the plans must be made, and that's where the plans must stay. You can't speak about it in here, in this medium. It's a medium. It's witchcraft. It's magic. It's science. Listen, I keep saying this to you folks. Demonology, angelology, whatever you want to say, ask if they're human. If they're not human, then they're extraterrestrial. They're aliens. That tells you everything. That's why they're not here in my house. I demand that they tell me, and if they're human, you're just like me. The freak am I going to want to bow you down to you? Kiss my ass. I'm the one that's in the physical realm. But anyway, I'm giving you the clues. And we got to get serious about it because that is where the plans must be made. We can't make the mistake of our peers. They let too much information out. but this is where it's going to be done at. You can be locked into a single cell and be more freer than the guard who's turned the key. Think about it. Yes, that's so true, my dear. So much. So far out, folks. Is this not, I mean, you know, if anything, it's to me informative, because I look at it and I say, well, yeah, I'm living this, you know, well, like those SOBs. I mean, you got to think about, what does Bezos think about death? What does Zuckerberg think about death? What does he feel his afterlife is going to be like? Ask yourself. Okay. Someone says, enjoy the journey, the ride. There's no rush. I'm not even sure where the finish line is, metaphysical mama. I don't know. You know, you just got to laugh, folks. Laughter is something that drives them crazy. If you have a problem with a specter, and listen, if you got a poltergeist or a ghost in your house or a spirit, man, jump up and give them a high five, because at least they're saying, hey, there's an afterlife. You got all the proof you want. Now, the rest of it, you can take it from there. But seriously, start laughing. No evil spirit can stand in the face of laughter. Why? Evil typically is endued with pride, ego. You ever laughed at someone who has a really big ego of themselves? Laugh at them? Oh, it pisses them off. Oh, it drives them nuts. I knew a guy and I purposely did it. It tormented him. I laughed when I started knowing what he was going through in his office. See, he was allowing me to rent free in his penthouse. Do the same thing in the spirit realm. They're humans. And if they're not humans, then they're aliens. And if they're aliens, then that just means they know more knowledge than we do. Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you, Big Al. Thank you, Karen, Metaphysical Mama. Always a play with some well, sarcasm is a form of humor. I mean, the late Don Rickles, he was great. I mean, you ever go to, I saw him in Vegas, and, you know, Phyllis Diller, a lot of the old ones, you know, but yeah, anyway, I digress. All right, folks, much love to you. See you tomorrow with Miss Trina and David Barry. Thank you, Julianne Payne. Thank you for all of you, folks. What is it says? I'm so embarrassed by what I thought. Wait, shirts. I know what you were thinking. Yes, I got that. Now, you see, folks, that's what I'm talking about. That was a mental telepathy thought of right over this. I mean, that's far out. I know exactly what y'all know, too. You're all laughing right now. All right, folks. Much love to you. See you tomorrow with Miss Trina and David Barry. All right. Bye-bye.